Hey everyone, and welcome to the Healthyr podcast. I'm your host Sean, and in every episode we look to give you value in one of the four areas of life: fitness, finances, relationships, or mindset. Today we're going to be going over protein. So just a little bit about the science about protein, why it's useful in the body, why we need it, and then I'm going to give you some good sources of protein that I would recommend. All right, so by the end of this, you'll understand protein a little bit better to hopefully make better decisions about how to intake it, why it's important, and might make you make better decisions when it comes to consumption of just your day-to-day foods, right? We have to incorporate more protein into our diet in general. So let's get right into it. So why do we need protein exactly? Like what's its importance? Overall, a protein is essential for structure, function, and regulation of virtually all cells and tissues in the human body. All right, it's vital for growth, repair, and maintenance of the body's structures. All right, in a nutshell, it is amino acids make up proteins, which I'll get into in a minute, but basically they are useful when they get broken down into different areas of the body. Proper functioning of biochemical pathways and regulatory mechanisms. Those are also a couple other uses and reasons why we need protein in our body. Okay, Sean, that's great. Cool. Sounds good. But why and how does it relate to building muscle exactly, right? Because we all want to get in shape. We all want to have more muscle than fat, right? So three, main points that I want to touch on. So number one is the proteins are made up of amino acids, like I said before. These are essential for building and repairing of muscle. So they're micro tears whenever we work out our muscle, right? After we work out, we have slight tears. Amino acids help repair the muscle tears. So that's how we get the increased size and definition in our muscle. All right. So in the muscle cells themselves, amino acids are also used to synthesize new muscle proteins, right, through a process of muscle protein synthesis. I'm not going to get into how exactly that works, but just know that they synthesize more muscle proteins. Number three is proteins are essential for maintaining muscle. If not enough protein is consumed, the body will break down muscle and use the amino acids for other functions such as immune function or hormone synthesis. All right, so you got to make sure that you got to consume the right amount of protein so your body doesn't, you can, let's say you're trying to build muscle and you're not, you just seem, it seems like you can't do it, right? It's like, why am I not building muscle? Well, let's say, obviously our goal is to lose muscle, lose fat and build muscle, right? That's everyone's goal. So we might be in a calorie deficit. In that case, we got to make sure our macros are dialed in, right? So fats, carbs, and protein. Keeping our protein at the right level, a good rule of thumb is so there's a couple rules of thumb that I heard. One from the textbook, the NASM textbook, is about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 160 pounds, you should try to have 160 grams of protein a day. All right, the average protein shake has anywhere from 20 to 40 grams of protein. Average protein bar, about 20 grams of protein. So you have a few protein bars, you have a steak. Steak, again, averages anywhere from 15 to 25 grams, even more of protein. So you can do the math as you go, right? And let's move on to the next part. I'm going to go into just different types of protein powders, right? So this is especially if you're on a budget, right? Like myself, I'm not spending the amount of money that gets you like the very best protein, right? You can if you want, and the higher, usually what happens is the more expensive protein, you're like, oh, they have the same, you go to CVS or Walmart, you see a protein, and then you see it for maybe $20-$30, and then you go online and you see protein powders for, $50, $60, $70 plus dollars, right? It's like, why is that? You look at the protein, they have similar grams of protein. So basically the more expensive ones in general, number one is they're usually marketed heavier, and they put a lot into their brand, and they promote a lot, so they have to add a little bit. A lot of times they white label, so they'll actually put a lot of brands will put their own label on a protein from a manufacturer, so the price increases from there. But also, you can get more pure protein powder. So for example, in the protein that I get, I will admit there are a lot of other, I guess, little substances and additives in there that, if you look at the ratio from grams, how many grams of protein in a scoop, right? So it's the ratio that gets better as you have more expensive protein. Plus, usually with higher quality, again, not every more expensive protein is better, right? But in general, you're usually paying for the higher ratio, right? So let's say if a scoop is 60 grams and 20 grams is protein, that means there's 40 grams of other stuff in there. It could be flavoring, it could be vitamins and minerals, which is great, right? But if your goal is to get the highest bang for buck, right? So in higher quality, it's usually, let's say a scoop is 40 grams, maybe 30 or 35 grams of that is protein, right? So you're paying for more protein per scoop. Now, that being said, and in general, if you're on a budget like myself, you just want the highest amount of protein per serving, right? So usually they go by per scoop, right? Some proteins, the ones that I get, go by 2 scoops, right? So, but it'll usually break it down, right, on the back. That's why I always turn the protein around. I never just look and pick it, right? I try to see, out of all the proteins, what's the sweet spot for the most amount of protein that's not going to break the bank, right? That's in that, $20 to $35 range, give or take. That is the highest grams of protein per scoop. So, or per 2 scoops. So whey protein at Body Fortress is an option. It's a brand, Body Fortress. I'm not sponsored by any of these by any means, but it's a brand that I use because it has 60 grams per 2 scoops, right? So I'm not going to have any more than 2 scoops. Some people, sure, you can add a lot of scoops, but for 2 scoops in one protein shake, plus my creatine, plus water or milk, is a sufficient amount. So I'm getting 60 grams in a protein shake. That's great, because I want to maximize the amount of protein in one sitting. That way I get it out of the way, right? If I have a bunch of protein shakes, 20, 40 grams here, it's like, okay, but then I have to have a lot of protein shakes throughout the day. I'd rather just have a significant amount of protein in my protein shake, down it, and be done with it, right? So the next one is 6 Star. It's a red container. I'll see if I can pull up a picture of it. And it's the same thing, right? Similar price range. This is another option. 60 grams per 2 scoops, right? Or 30 grams per scoop. So again, highest ratio that I can find in a store like CVS or Walmart, right? So another good brand is Muscle Milk. Obviously organic protein, depending on how clean you want to eat, right? So it's up to you. Like I said, use what I said to kind of narrow it down to find what suits you and what you like and how much you're willing to spend, right? I always say budget first. I always say you have to get your finances in order first. You never want to, I'm spending this much, I'm going to get the best protein. But if you're broke or you can barely get by on your bills, or if you're in debt, maybe let's do this the most efficient way, right? So the last thing that I will go into is just different types of protein bars. So with the bars, there is a lot more that are very similar. So I like to try to go for lower sugar, because I usually like to have them, most of the time I have them as a snack before bed. Just keeps me full for sleep, so I don't wake up in the middle of the night hungry. That's me. I know my body. If I don't eat somewhere close to bed, I wake up hungry. It's just my metabolism, right? Quest bars are great. I always go for, again, the highest amount of protein per bar, right? That's, again, the most bang for your buck, right? If you can get it with, again, low sugar, low fat, gluten-free, all of those are great. But if we're just talking about protein, you just want the highest per bar. And again, if you can afford to, go for it. Pay for something like No Cow. They're dairy-free, gluten-free, vegan, you name it. They're on the healthier side, pun intended. The other one is One Bars. They're great also. Recommend them. They usually, 15 to 20 grams per bar. You get more other bars like Think high protein bars are great as well. And then you start to get in the other ones. Those are the main ones that are low in sugar, that are more lower carbs, that are in the ones that I like, that are most healthy, low sugar. I guess on the healthier side of protein bars. So the other ones that I would, not that I would stay away from, but they're a lot more additives and a lot more sugar in them. It's like Pure Protein. Gatorade is known for very high sugar. And then Special K or Kellogg's, they're okay. They just have a lot of added sugar in them, and that can cause sugar spikes and then crashes, and you store more fat. So just keep an eye out and trying to understand and look at the labels, right? Also, if you're in a deficit and you obviously want to have basically turn the bar over, compare and look at the amount of calories and the amount of protein, and try to find the one that is going to hit your goals, going to help you towards your goals. Now, for me, I don't really care about the calories because it's going to help fill me up, right? And if I know myself and I'm not a huge, big, I pay attention to my meals throughout the day, so I don't need to watch the calories in my protein bar. In fact, the higher the protein, the better, because it'll keep me full longer. That's just me. Give it a shot. That helps. That helps me, right? And it can help you too. You just got to experiment and try. All right. The last thing that I will say is do your best to have lean meats if you eat meat. We all have heard of, chicken. If you can substitute, this one thing I will say, for meatloaf, if you're going to make a meatloaf, try your best to use turkey meat. It's more lean and less fat, and tastes the same, right? I made one the other night. It's like 90 something percent lean and much less fat. So that's just my small recommendation. Otherwise, we all know the meats that are lean, right? Chicken, turkey. You want to try to have more white meat. Red meat's fine. But yeah, eggs, obviously a great source of protein. But that is about it. That's all I have for today on protein. I hope that helped. If it did, obviously subscribe and check us out on Instagram as well at Healthyr Coaching. Remember, that's Healthyr with a THYR coaching on Instagram. And feel free to apply for one-on-one coaching. We will be offering in-person coaching as well if you live in the Long Island area. Stay tuned for that. We have meetups as well. Again, if you're in the Long Island area, again, it's all in the link in our bio. All right. So until next time, I will see you in the next episode.